Wait! Hello there! Flaming Mario 5697 here! Today I'm doing a commentary on this fucking disgusting piece of shit who criticizes Nintendo. No! Nintendo is the best video game company ever! It has no flaws! And if you don't agree, then you need to be put in the electric chair and die as slowly and painfully as possible. Anyways, here we go.
Ever since I was a little kid, Nintendo has always been my go-to source for gaming.
Oh yeah! Nintendo is the best gaming company in existence. Anyone who disagrees needs to be handed over to ISIS and be beheaded.
Growing up playing N64 and Game Boy, and supporting them all the way through to the Switch, they've been a huge part of my life for so much of it. Naturally, I went into 2020 having high hopes as always.
You should. Nintendo is going to win the console wars, because unlike evil companies like Sony or Microsoft, they make sexy games like Splatoon and Pokemon. Those games have so many sexy, autistic, colorful graphics and furries that I can't fail to like.
Breath of the Wild 2 was teased, Animal Crossing was coming out, there was a second Fighter's Pass to be revealed, Metroid Prime 4 was that game ever coming out? No? Okay.
Well, I don't care about games like Breath of the Wild or Metroid, because they are not autistic enough for me. But I love Animal Crossing, which is another furry game with a bunch of sexy furry withus like Isabelle. Isabelle is so sexy. I get a raging honor to Isabelle pornography. And I like Super Smash Bros. Too because unlike other fighting games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, I can play as sexy animals like Star Fox. Although it kind of sucks now, because they have mean-spirited characters like Terry Goldward, Steven Snake, and hentai characters like Lucina who isn't a furry or cartoon.
Regardless, it was setting up to be a good year for Nintendo. After all, they would have to compete with the upcoming next-gen offerings from Sony and Microsoft.
Sony and Microsoft suck. Of course Nintendo will kick their asses.
So obviously, they had an all-time great year in response.
Lost their minds. You're just a big Nintendo hater. Leave YouTube forever and don't come back.
Before I get into it, I'd like to mention today's sponsor. If you're like me,
you look so disgusting. I look so much better than you.
You spend a lot of time in front of screens. Whether you're online watching YouTube, playing video games, doing homework or research, the average person these days spends hours a day looking at screens. During this time, we're exposing our eyes to blue light that can cause eye strains, itchiness, headaches, and sleep issues.
Who the fuck cares? Get to the point.
I personally noticed that when I did work or played a game right before bed, it would be harder to fall asleep due to eye strain. That's why I started using GMG Performance eyeglasses.
You look like a fucking nerd with those glasses on.
Whenever I'm having long sessions at the computer or in game. They help reduce my eye strain, improve my concentration, and believe me when I tell you that when I wear these before bed, falling asleep has never felt easier. They look sleek as well, have a variety of models, feel durable, there's no tint that changes how you see the screen.
Who the fuck cares? Get to the point.
And have a really nice case to store them in between sessions. I really can tell the difference and I want you guys to experience it as well, so check out the link in my description because GMG is offering a huge 50% off discount for Black Friday. It's the best deal of the year, and it ends November 30th, so don't miss your chance to get a pair for half off by clicking the link in the description. Okay, let's get back to the video.
No!
I never thought that I would be making a video that is criticizing Nintendo this much.
Well, you shouldn't. Criticizing Nintendo is worse than reenacting the Holocaust or Vietnam.
But let's be real, 2020 has thrown us so many curveballs that it almost just makes sense. I'm going to break this down into 4 major talking points, so let's just get into the first one. I think it has to do with a game called Super Smash Bros.
Oh my god! What an offensive and mean-spirited joke! How dare you make such a horrible offensive joke like that?
So, if you haven't heard, Nintendo recently shut down a major Melee tournament called the Big House. They received a cease and desist saying that they didn't have permission to broadcast the event due to the use of Slippy.
Yes! The Big House sucks! I'm so glad that Nintendo made them cancel those events. Also, how dare they make a mod named by Slippy? I hate Slippy because he reminds me about myself by being an annoying, useless piece of shit.
Slippy is a project that improves Melee's online scene by adding replays, matchmaking, and most importantly, rollback netcode to ensure the smoothest connection possible.
There is no need to improve Melee. Melee is a perfect game because it was made by Nintendo.
Nintendo saw that this was infinitely better than their online service, so I guess they got butthurt and shut down the event.
Wait! How dare you make fun of Nintendo, you ugly fucking game bitch! You need to fall into a pit of glass and rusty nails and die!
Well, it was because they claim piracy, but if you look into it, Slippy isn't illegal. You don't need to pirate Melee to play Slippy, it's a legal mod, and it's also legal to rip discs and make backups. Nintendo has failed before when trying to fight this issue in court, and even though Big House seems to be in their rights, Nintendo has the final say about their game that they don't even sell anymore, and the entire event has been killed.
Oh yeah! The stars at Nintendo win again!
Great job, Nintendo. You get to preserve a game you no longer offer to the public, and simultaneously damage a passionate, fan-driven community that you hate to support.
So what if the fans are passionate? They deserve it for disrespecting Nintendo with their quote-unquote trying to improve the games.
Okay, Nintendo, so you don't want us using emulators. So why not just sell us the game? Here's the thing, the vast majority of emulated games that people play are games that Nintendo no longer sells. I'm talking the Wii era and anything prior. Melee is obviously a big one, Pokemon as well, but in my personal opinion, there's no damage being done here. If you're willing to play a game how Nintendo wants you to, you would have to buy the console and buy the game.
Oh yeah! Give Nintendo more money!
Makes sense, except for the fact that it fucking doesn't.
You shouldn't swear! Swearing just to be swearing is unfunny and very offensive.
All of these consoles and games are no longer being sold directly by Nintendo. Any GameCube or copy of Pokemon Ruby that you find is on resale, and by purchasing it, you're only helping the pockets of a random seller, not Nintendo.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you! A fucking course that fucking money fucking is fucking going to fucking Nintendo! Everything what made by Nintendo is helping the pockets of Nintendo, you fucking retard!
Now, I can understand Nintendo cracking down on someone for pirating Breath of the Wild, because they sell that game directly, and it's on their current-gen console. For them to get this pressed about someone emulating McKids on the NES is ridiculous.
No, it's not! Stop making fun of Nintendo, you fucking control!
So yeah, if you really want us to stop emulating, then why not sell us the games? Okay, you want games? Fine. Here's Mario 3D All-Stars. Awesome! Thank you, Nintendo! Until March 31st. Wait, what?
How the fuck is limited releases of their games dead? Giving limited releases was a good idea because Nintendo did it.
Yes, in a move that only Nintendo can pull off, they had in fact began reselling old favorites on the Switch, but with a limited release window. Hilariously enough, Mario 3D All-Stars uses the same emulation that they fight so hard against. Sometimes I think it was intentional, as if to say, since you like emulators so much, here, you can have them, for $60, and no bonus features.
The games don't need bonus features. They are perfect and are worth $60 because they are Mario games. And they are Nintendo games. Any game made by Nintendo is godlike. And any game that isn't made by Nintendo is shit. Anyone who likes non-Nintendo games needs to have their limbs chopped off and bleed to death.
Oh, and to all you Super Mario Galaxy 2 fans, we have awesome news for you. Just kidding, your favorite game is neglected. And on March 31st, they'll all be erased from your mind forever. Now, if Nintendo had a logical explanation as to why the thing that they try to prevent the most is being prevented for a limited time only, I'd give them a listen. But no, they've given no reasons whatsoever.
So, Nintendo always makes the best decisions, because they are Nintendo. If any other company did this, then it would be a tragedy and those companies would be bad and deserve to die. But this is Nintendo. Nintendo is a perfect company.
Which seems to be more of the norm these days with their general communication. Not a single appearance by Doug Bowser, and randomly announced games out of nowhere have had Nintendo fans wondering what 2021 has in store. Well, we know what April doesn't have in store, because that's when Mario dies.
No! 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 Mario will never die! How fucking dare you say that? I hope you get beaten and raped to death by homeless men and rot.
Oh, you don't like our business practices? that's okay, because we have the one thing that you people could never hate. Our games.
Oh yeah, Nintendo games are the best. I masturbate to them like we.
Nintendo may have made some questionable business choices this year, but as always, the games have been fire. In fact, I've been playing so many games that my Joy-Cons have begun to drift uncontrollably, which in my opinion, just adds to the challenge of speedrunning Mario Odyssey. One of the biggest criticisms that Nintendo receives daily is the issue of Joy-Con drift. In pairs across the world, players are experiencing their control sticks having unavoidable drift, making any movement-based game near impossible depending on how bad the drift has gotten.
It's not the sexy controller's fault you mess up. It's your fucking fault.
Man, consistent global controller issues on their main console? Nintendo must be all over that, right? No, they act like it doesn't exist. According to them, it's not a real problem and hasn't caused a single person any inconvenience.
Well, if Nintendo says it, then it must be true.
Yeah, I mean, I could harp on about this, but it's basically the equivalent of Nintendo putting their fingers in their ears and screaming, "I can't hear you," over and over.
No, it's not. Nintendo never makes mistakes.
Nintendo's 2020 has been a mess on the business end.
No, it wasn't. Nintendo dominated 2020 like every year. Because I'm right.
And a lot of die-hard fans are starting to turn on them.
Those are not true fans. A true Nintendo fan would sit on their ass all day, jerk off to sexy Nintendo games like Animal Crossing, cream on Wii remotes, shove them up their asses, then lick them, and defend Nintendo no matter what, and attack those evil Nintendo haters who dare to criticize Nintendo.
But at the same time, many fans are willing to support Nintendo despite these choices still, because they love them so much.
Yeah, those good little Nintendo fans are defending Nintendo from those evil Nintendo hating trolls.
I just want the magic of Nintendo to return.
What the fuck are you talking about? Nintendo is still the same amazing sexy pants-screaming company as it was and always will be. I wish I could go to Nintendo Studios, go on top of their building and rip the giant Nintendo logo like
That feeling that it's not a bunch of corporate people in business suits, but fellow gamers and kids at heart running a game company. I just didn't feel any of that classic Nintendo style this year. But I did see a lot of questionable practices. Let me know what you guys think of Nintendo this year in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.
I'm ending this fucking retarded video right here. All that's left is him talking about his other stupid channel on a stupid Joy-Con drift joke. This guy is a stupid ugly Nintendo hating troll who should get beaten up and killed. Anyways, I'm going to take all my frustration out on my mommy's distance laptop. Bye bye.